Hello, everyone, and thank you. Welcome back to another episode of Fellowship of the Swords. Today we're going to explore a very important topic in case if you're experiencing anything whatsoever supernatural. We'd like to explore today temptation is the beginning of invitation. Very powerful and very important as we elaborate on this with myself, Farah Deel, and my husband,
Kenneth, Deel. The way to start on this is probably to say that temptation is the overlooked stage of, we'll just say, demonic activity. I mean, we hear from some of the
oppression,
veterans,
the beginning of oppression symptoms.
Infestation, oppression, possession. They don't know that temptation is what got them there. Free will. Temptation is extreme. It's so bad.
Yes.
By the time they're oppressed, they are able to tempt them with mental images like a video show that they can see and experience in the daytime.
And let's go over some of the most common temptations that invite, the little scandalizing evil ones to start whispering in people's ear and getting them locked in to deeper and deeper sin. What are some, shall we say, invitational temptations to you? I've got my own list. Let's hear, Ken. What are some of yours?
Anytime you can break down the spirit through free will, that is not an invitation necessarily, but it's taking your shield down. So when the invitation comes, the Trojan horse rolls in and all the bad guys come rolling out. A lot of times it's just simple, subtle things. Just think of what happens at a party that girls can gather for slumber parties now. In their little pajamas and stuff like that. Instead of the innocent stuff, now they'll try. One girl brings a witchcraft book. They bring a Ouija board.
This is true.
They read Harry Potter aloud, which actually has real spells in there, confirmed. Some. Now, what an imagination a writer has when they can't even come up with their own little fictitious spells, like the elfin magic from Lord of the Rings, which is completely made up and based on the elfin language that was fabricated by the writer. So that begins that. When you get tempted to actually invite the spirit, you get tempted to break down your spiritual strength through sin. And then when the invitation finally happens, depending on your spiritual state, that's how much you're going to be affected. Of course, it affects the house too, because you gave it domain there. If you did it inside the house.
What I was talking about too was that a lot of people don't realize that simple sins are direct invitation. And a lot of time we don't think about some of the common things that we succumb to temptation to are direct invitations. Anything that is apart from God that leads you to sin is a potential open door. If you are tempted to take extra napkins from work because, they're free and they're there, no, that's stealing. Our society today is geared towards relativism. It's relatively mine because I work there. Those are my napkins. No, that's stealing. There is no shades of gray when it comes to demonic. An invitation to sin is an invitation to sin. And it can start as a young child. If your parents do not teach you right from wrong, that still does not mean that you're free from that sin or that invitation. And as we get older and we're tempted to commit small sins such as, sins of lust, calumny, covetousness, when something causes us to stumble in sin, it's usually an invitation. And the more we give into those invitations, they become larger and larger doorways for larger and more powerful entities to talk to us, interact with us, and lead us into greater sin. And that is what Satan and the lower demons want, is the destruction, complete destruction of our souls. So these sins of temptations might seem subtle and innocent, like reading your horoscope every day. Well, what is reading your horoscope? Oh, it's just entertainment, right? It's just something funny. It's something I can share on Facebook or on social media. Reading your horoscope says, instead of saying a prayer and trusting that God's got my back today, I think I'm going to look and see what someone else says for fun. No, it's not fun. It's actually a form of an invitation to sin and relying on a form of divination that has nothing to do with your life. And then later in the day, when you win a couple tickets to the Bahamas, you're not going to think, wow, I prayed and I told God I needed a vacation. No, you're going to say, wow, I read my horoscope and it said I was going somewhere. Then what do you believe? you're going to be led to another invitation to sin. That's how subtle it is. And a lot of people are going to laugh and say, oh, no, that's ridiculous, that's wrong. That's what Satan wants you to believe, that it's ridiculous. It couldn't possibly happen that way, but it does.
Yeah, and the that type of thing too is kind of like the mother. It begins there, and then the history itself is distorted. In other words, they're practicing a ritual. Not say a ritual, a thing that was actually created as a pagan. It's not of God. So when they read the horoscopes, it's just like going to a psychic
It's
medium.
no different than throwing bones, reading tea leaves, and that's another wonderful thing that we go over, the different forms of divination, and another one. What we're trying to let you know, though, is it's the little sins that add up, the little steps that we take away from God that lead us into affairs, to cheat on our partners, to cheat on our taxes, like God said, render unto Caesar's what's Caesar's, and render unto God what's God's. Cheat our bosses, cheat our spouses. Anything that leads us into sin is an open invitation to listen to more demonic. Don't ever, please, don't ever think it's harmless. It will eventually steal your whole soul.
Yeah, and don't give it, that opportunity. One of the things that's a good note for the investigators, too, is, let me give you a scenario. Let's say a guy's addicted to porn. Well,
That's a good one.
He can get so involved in this, the demonic spirit, has been invited by another means.
Yes.
And then he starts to have, a dream. They usually test your sleep state first to see if it's invited.
Yes.
We'll say the guy's married, to complicate it further, because then it gains more from...
It works on women the same way.
And then, so what could make it worse and not be so slow, because every time you do something, you have to, accept it. Oh, here comes this vixen in your dream, and then they jump all over it in the dream. You somehow remember you're married, but you do it anyway. I mean, it does begin with some small thoughts.
Yes,
that's not a sin yet, because you haven't thought about it on the outside world so much, maybe.
But
what
yes,
happens
you could
if
have. Look at what happened today when we stopped for coffee. We walked by a magazine rack, and there was two very buxom busts staring us in the face, and we were looking at it going, whoa, how can you, not walk by? And that's how it starts.
Yeah,
if you had an addiction to porn, you'd be like, oh, I got to see some more of that.
Yeah, I know, and men are so visual. And then what if the guy actually started practicing some of this high wizard magic or something like that? Not only will the spirit, escalate, but it can come busting in.
Yes.
And that's the thing. It gave it a stronger invitation. And guess what the first spirit at the gate is that's going to come in? The spirit of lust and pornography.
Yes.
That's the one he actually gave, initial permission to. So if you do a ritual that opens a doorway or whatever, or you go on the Ouija board, the first spirits you're going to contact in the Ouija board could be a dead porn star. No, or a demon pretending to be a dead porn star to play into your game. That'll affect you the most. But it'll come busting in as soon as you give it some sort of... When we get witchcraft mixed with mortal sins, you always have the encumbering sin. That's the type of spirit. Yes. So I can go right away. Okay, he's addicted to porn. When I go through the house, I'll say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I rebuke you, spirits of immorality, and I'll address it directly, and that's also calling it by name in a way, and it's just as effective. But that's
and
a little side note.
You addressed it from a gentleman's point of view. I have to tell you, from working with abused women, satanic ritual abuse survivors, cult survivors. That was my specialty in high school, was cults. The Love Israel cult in Seattle was one of the most difficult to deprogram anyone out of. We're talking about some very demonic practices of growing poppy seed, all in the name of religion, passing around children for sex. What they did with their children, should be so many criminal levels of negligence, and it took a while before that cult was brought down.
Yeah.
Women have different points of temptation since they're not visual like men. Mm-hmm. Women are attacked on more of a nurturing level. If you turn on any television, open up any media, any book media that's available in a bookstore, you're going to see how fat, how ugly, how you drive the wrong car. And yes, how you have the wrong man. He's not taking you out enough. He's not buying you roses. You're not being treated the way you ought to be because you're a woman. But by the way, don't stay home and just be a housefrau. Don't cook. Don't be the nurturer that you're created to be. No, you have to be Wonder Woman. Put on your cape. Go make $50,000 a year like a man does, or there's something wrong with you. Go back to school. And by the
Farm
way,
your kids out.
yes, basically let someone else raise your children. That's today's woman. You're told how wrong you are. Now, let's say that you do have a relationship with God, and you do, have a loving family, and you work part-time, and you have a wonderful husband. Satan will tempt you with anything that you're attached to. Are you attached to vacations? Well, your husband hasn't taken you out in a long time. What's wrong with him? Is he having an affair? He'll place doubts in your mind. You'll start following your husband. You'll make your husband so uncomfortable that he will be going out with his friends drinking just to get away from your nagging. So that's how women are used.
Yeah, I've seen that go on.
I've seen that happen too. So you have to look at anything. This is how a spiritual director told me. Anything in your mind that you are focused on, coveting, attached to, that you want really bad, guess what? Satan can tempt you into believing and turning that against you and use it to harm you. Some of the best exorcists have actually written and said that something they liked, something as simple as Mountain Dew. During an exorcism, a demon told an exorcist that, guess what? I can get you a whole case of Mountain Dew, a whole truckload of Mountain Dew. The exorcist went ballistic getting rid of that demon. He did not want to hear that. He didn't drink Mountain Dew for a month. I don't remember how long it was.
Yeah.
So whether you're a man or a woman, be aware that if there is an emotion you're feeling, there is a thought in your mind that does not belong to you, you have the power to pray it away. You have the power to get rid of it. Christ has put the divine seed of faith within you for you to have complete peace in him. Is there anything else to add on this subject, or are we ready to wrap it up?
I think it pretty much closes on this.
Good.
And be sure to tune in to our others and like us on Facebook, to subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever else you find
Yes,
it.
and don't forget, the battle has already been won. Satan's head has been crushed. We're here to help you fight the good fight while we're still here. So let us know if we can help you. Contact us anywhere.
swordsofstmichael.org, or you can go to catholicdemonologist.com if you want to check out the educational resources for the
Rosaries,
work and
prayer
self-help.
beads, books. We've got a variety of things that can help you. Lots of free advice, free medals. Hey, let us know how we can help.
Good day, good evening, whatever time of the day it is. Until next time, God bless.